What you're saying is a kind of change in what journalism is. Rather than a defined role, it's more like a process. So
if you take what a PR provides to you and then just run it exactly as it is, then I think that lacks integrity.
Everybody, I think, the intelligence levels don't change, how you consume news changes.
In the United States in 2013, public relations professionals outnumbered journalists 4.6 to 1, with the pay gap continually increasing between the two industries. Professor Jim McNamara of the University of Technology, Sydney, believes that PR makes up between 30 and 70% of the news we consume. So what does this mean for media consumers, and where does this leave the journalists? Is the news we consume becoming a form of below-the-line advertising?
The paper I work for will probably have, up to 10 PR pitch stories every edition. Up to 10 max, I reckon, but certainly plenty.
Harry Clark has been a journalist at the Cairns Post for the past year and says that PR news is getting more difficult to identify in the media.
A lot of young people and old people as well can recognise that something's just crap, but I don't think people would sit there and be like, oh my god, that was just a PR pitch story. Sometimes the best journalists can't even distinguish, perhaps couldn't distinguish that it came from a PR. Does it take away from the integrity? Not necessarily. Just because it comes from a PR doesn't mean it's crap. But if they provide you with something and you take the story and you do a bit of your own work to it, if you make another couple of calls, get some more quotes and add to it and flesh it out, it gives it a lot more balance, a lot more weight, depth, and therefore a lot more integrity.
Harry says the rise in PR is definitely impacting the journalism job industry. However, this may not be a bad thing.
People are happy to admit, bugger being a journalist, I can get paid 100 grand a year being a PR. But I think that's kind of good because it filters out a lot of people that are half-hearted about it and the people that really want to be journalists to fight a good fight and hold governments to account and provide a service of up-to-date and current useful information.
With the pressures of the newsroom mounting and pay failing to increase, PR manufactured news stories seem like an easy fix for journalists. While Harry says it is up to the journalists to build upon and repackage these stories, Media Watch presenter Paul Barry recently pointed out that this is not always the case.
Happy birthday to Arnott. It's 150 years old today. Still Aussie, eh?
Well, Australian icon it may be, but Arnott's is actually owned by the giant American Campbell Soup Company.
Is this bad PR or bad journalism? Or is this a change in what is defined as newsworthy?
My name is Tanika Turner. I'm a Senior Account Executive at Haystack. We're a Brisbane-based PR agency.
Tanika says she deals with journalists every other day, and that many of the stories they package up for the media are run in the news.
I feel like most of our stories that we do pitch, particularly to the online lifestyles, are sort of a rehash of the media release in a way. We always tailor the pitch to the publication we're going to save ourselves embarrassment and to show that we're knowing exactly what's going to work for that outlet. Or in some instances, if we have access to it, a spokesperson or an expert, offering them that exclusive content.
Danica admits that in some ways, journalists have begun to rely on PR.
We do occasionally get reactive opportunities, particularly with working with some of our clients where we do have that expert spokesperson. When we're going out with proactive stories, we know that we're on their radar. So if they are looking for an expert to provide commentary for another piece they might be working on, they do approach us so that we can get those quotes for them to support their broader piece.
Kate Ward also works for Haystack and has been in PR for more than 10 years. She says she has seen firsthand the relationships between journalism and PR evolve.
Well, when I started, it was very media relations focused. We were still posting media releases out with samples to journalists, but that's when there were still lots of journalists in the newsroom, and in the time that I've been working in PR in both the UK and over here, I've seen the impact of the financial crisis, which has been scaled back newsrooms and less journalists to reach out to. It's been much more about building relationships so that they know they can come to you for a good story.
Kate is critical about the future of journalism as the primary industry for news reporting.
I think journalism used to be very glamorous and people aspired to it. With the move away from newspapers and print publications and everything being online, everyone can be a journalist now. Everybody self-publishes. Brands have their own newsrooms, their own news platforms, and it means that you really are your own newsmaker. So I think people, there's a statistic now, I think that's around 89% of people get their news from their friends on Facebook rather than a news platform, which I think is really interesting.
Oh, my name's Nicholas Carra and I'm a lecturer in communication at the University of Queensland. It's a concept you can think about historically, right? Like PR has always been in the business of trying to shape news.
Dr. Carra believes that the communication field is an ever-changing industry, and in more recent years, its growth has created a symbiosis between journalism and PR. He says the concept of what is classified as newsworthy has also begun to change, and with it, so too have the content makers.
Particularly with markets where brands are targeting younger audiences, is this kind of almost like coming apart of what is news? Like for older audiences, news was somehow more definable in the sense that news was what I read in the editorial parts of the newspaper or what I saw on the television. But for most people, I don't know, under 35 now probably, news is what flows through my Facebook news feed, and it's a jumbled up combination of stuff my friends are sharing, stuff that's coming from so-called traditional news organisations, stuff from brands that are promoting posts, stuff from, you know, TV shows I like or whatever. So, and people don't really distinguish between, oh, that's news, that's something my friend said. It's just it's a jumble. And that presents a huge opportunity to PR people, right? Because it's in a way expanded enormously what I think counts for news.
Dr. Carra believes that media consumers are smart enough to identify poor quality news, and that the growth of PR manufactured news is not a bad thing.
I think what you're seeing is new rules get invented, and it points us to how the rules about what made journalism were always socially and historically constructed. They weren't like truth that came on stone tablets from God, do you know what I mean? They were always embedded in the society of the time. And I think what you're seeing is, particularly with young audiences, they're like, we can see the difference between commercial and editorial. We don't need you to tell us. We don't need you to draw a line in the paper, you know. We'll sort it out. And we don't mind it being jumbled together. That doesn't destroy the credibility of journalism to us.
So where does this leave the two industries? It appears as the relationships between PR and journalism continue to grow stronger, more of the news we see will become PR manufactured. So how will this affect the public? What do you think PR is? What do you think PR stands for?
Something, resources, personal.
I know it stands for public relations, right? But overall, like what a what a PR person does, I'm not entirely sure.
I actually don't know what PR manufactured news is.
It appears for most, it'll remain unnoticed.
And the company's strength in staying all Australian is being praised by brand